This is a Dreamcast disc and is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers.
Dreamcast, up to 6 billion players.
Welcome back to the stage of history.
Why don't we play together?
Hey, it's time to make some crazy money. Are you ready? Here we go!
Please stop this disc now.
Hey up, it's Dreamcast Junkyard, DreamPod, episode 145. My name is Tom, and this time I'm joined by not one but two of my lovely co-hosts. The first is the dandiest of dandies. His name is Lewis Cox. Hello Lewis, how you doing?
Hello. I never know what to say to that.
It's always just like the hello.
Hello. Yeah. I don't feel dandy because my computer doesn't work. But yeah. Anyway, we'll move on.
Is that the computer I sold you?
Yes. It's all your fault. I want my money back.
Next up, he's come straight from the valleys with his lovely singing voice. His name is Jazz. Hello, Jazz.
Not Tom Jones, then.
No. Do you reckon you could do a good Tom Jones impression?
Absolutely not, and I certainly wouldn't do it on a podcast. It's good to be back. It feels like a long time since I've been on a DreamPod. Various things of life getting in the way, but yes, good to be back.
Yes. I was almost tempted to try and do the intro, in an homage to you by putting on the most offensive Welsh accent I could muster, but I went against that at the last moment. Don't want to, offend the entirety of the Welsh nation. Right, so we've convened here today for you, our listening audience, to talk about some of the news that's been happening throughout the Dreamcast community. It's been a while since we did a news-related pod. I think the last one was January. Does that sound about right, Lewis?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going to kind of skirt around the Dreamcast community, do a bit of a recap. Some of this news might be a bit older because it's from earlier in the year, but we'll try and get to as much of the big news stories as we can. And maybe there's some things in here that you didn't know about. I certainly didn't know about some of them, but I will pretend and try to sound knowledgeable. We always start with a bit of a question, a little bit of a round table. There's only three of us on this episode, so it's not going to be that lengthy, but we're going to keep it classic. We're going to talk about recent pickups and what we've been playing. So I'm going to come to you, Jazz, first. What have you been? We've been playing on the Dreamcast or otherwise? What have you been picking up? That kind of thing.
Yeah, Dreamcast-wise, nothing. Really excited on that front. But I have been managing to find some time to game recently, which I haven't been doing a lot of this year. But since the Switch 2 launch, really, I've played an awful lot on the Switch 2. Obviously Mario Kart World, but Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I know you are desperate to try, Tom.
I'm purposely not playing it just because you rate it so highly.
Definitely my game of the year so far this year. It's just Nintendo magic, which is the best way I can describe it. I just every day just couldn't wait to play it again, which I've not had that feeling for a long time. So that's been mega. And on a retro theme, when I bought my Switch 2, I bought the GameCube controller as well. So I've been playing, I think I looked at my logs the other day and I've done like 28 hours on GameCube on the Switch 2 alone. So
what have you been playing on there? What have you been playing?
A lot of F-Zero, which I'd forgotten how ridiculously difficult that game is.
Sega game as well.
Yeah, one of the first kind of produced for Nintendo games by Sega, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Still looks incredible, that game, and obviously runs amazingly quick at 60 frames. But it's such a delight to play, even if it can get very frustrating. Some of the difficulty spikes in there are pretty tough. Obviously had to start up a new Wind Waker save, which I think it's an underrated Zelda. I've always liked Wind Waker. And it's quite funny actually to look back at it now, because I know when Wind Waker first came out, the cell shading graphics were not particularly thought highly of at the time. But I think actually it makes it quite nice to go back to now, because it hasn't got that kind of, it hasn't aged in the way that a lot of other games have. And yeah, they recently added Mario Strikers, which I'd never played before, so did a few hours on that.
Oh, that's good, that.
Yeah, it is good fun. Bit samey after a while, but yeah, good fun. And obviously Chibi Robo, which is a game that used to be, it was quite a high-priced game for the GameCube, but I'd imagine that's gonna come down a bit now. So, I mean, it's a completely wacky game. You'd never get anything like it these days. But it's one of those games you've just kind of got to experience, I think, just to sort of see what it's all about. So yeah, loving my my Switch 2. I know it's a lot of people have been a bit kind of disheartened by the Switch 2 experience so far, but for me, I stopped playing the Switch because it was just felt like a really underpowered machine, and things like the eShop lagging and stuff was just enough to turn me off from even attempting to play it. So being able to actually play it now, have a nice experience on it is great, and there's a few good titles coming out for it the rest of the year. So yeah, spent a lot of time on there, and then just very quickly, most recently, obviously it's sports season, so the latest Madden, the latest FC, and I started Borderlands 4 with a mate of mine online a couple of weeks ago, so just making my way through that now. So yeah, lots going on in the gaming front for me.
Lots of gaming, lots of varied stuff there. Brilliant. What about you, Lewis?
I'm pretty similar to Jazz, actually. Pretty busy. Went through a bit of a dry spell with just not knowing what to play for a bit. I played Cyberpunk to death, but I've not finished it because I don't want to finish the game just in case they might, bring out new stuff for it. I really did love that game, though. It's so nice to play it now. It actually works and doesn't fall apart.
What are you playing it on? What platform?
PS5. So I originally started it on PS4, which was a mistake. But I when I originally played that, I thought this is such a good game. I really like the gameplay. I love the setting, but I thought I'm going to come back to it when it's actually fixed, and so I came back to it and still had my old save from 2020 as well. So I just played that to death. I really, really, really love that game.
It's just come out on PS Plus as well, I think. So anyone who's got a PS Plus subscription, because I started it for the first time, in the last few months, and those games I feel so overwhelmed with games like that though now these days. I just can't bear to start it because I know I've got so many other things I want to play, and I'll just get sucked into it, and it just feels like they're just too big. Games are too big these days.
Yeah, I think on one of the sort of positive things about it though is that it just feels so detailed and alive. It's definitely a game I would. This is probably a mad recommendation, but if you like Shenmue, if you love the way that game is living in that idea, I feel like Cyberpunk does a lot of that quite well actually. And I think actually I remember them tweeting some respect for Yu Suzuki in the past as well, so they obviously were inspired somewhat. But yeah, that was a brilliant game. And then I've just been on a Silent Hill kick all year, and so I realised on Xbox, that you can do backwards compatibility on the two more maligned games, Homecoming and Downpour, which I've never played. So I actually played Homecoming, and yeah, I get why people don't like it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ideas, but one, it tries too much to be like Silent Hill 2, and then two, the combat in it is absolutely shocking. There's a dodge mechanic where when you press it, it doesn't work. You might as well just accept that you're going to get hammered by stuff.
I remember playing that when it first came out on 360, and I'd been a Resident Evil fan ever since the games first come out, so I kind of skipped over Silent Hill. I was aware of it, but I'd never really played. My mate had Silent Hill the original and kind of watched him play, but never played them myself. So that was unfortunately the first Silent Hill game that I ever actually played myself. Mm-hmm. So it didn't set me up to love the series, I'm afraid, from that point onwards.
Yeah, it's quite rough. Like I say, there's some interesting stuff there, but it's just not. It's not it. And then, but then speaking of good Silent Hill games, the new Silent Hill F I've been playing, which is unique because it's the first game to be based in Japan, and it's really creepy. That very kind of surreal Japanese horror that you might see in something like The Ring or The Grudge. It's that kind of style.
By The Ring, I take it you're referencing the film, not the awful Dreamcast game.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. So yeah, and then on the complete flip side to that, me and my wife have been playing Kirby on the Switch, which is an excellent game. It's a really good platformer. It's the kind of thing I like with platformers where it encourages you to be curious. So like in each level, there's like a list of objectives, but some of them are hidden, and so it encourages you to kind of look around and try and find things. And it's absolutely brilliant two-player game as well. So definitely recommend it if you're looking for something two-player.
Lewis, just a quick question on the Silent Hill games. Is there any continuity across any of these games, or are they all pretty easy to just sort of pick up in a standalone story?
You can play Silent Hill 2 or Silent Hill 2 Remake without playing any of the others, and then 3 is a sequel to 1, so that's probably about it, really. The rest are all just standalone, pretty much.
I'm thinking Silent Hill F is going to be my Halloween game this year, because I've watched a few people play, and it looks right up my street for like slow-paced survival horror, which is, love that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely good Halloween game.
Good stuff. I'm pretty similar to you guys, to be honest. I haven't really played a lot of Dreamcast stuff. As you know, I recently moved, and most of my Dreamcasts are still in my little bag in a cupboard, so I need to rectify that at some point. I've mainly just been playing on the Switch too, because it's my new thing, and like you, Jazz, I've been playing on some of the sports games. The most recent one I bought was FC26, and it's a perfectly serviceable version of FC26. I know there's a lot of online discourse about it being 30 frames a second, but it's fine. Look, I grew up playing ISS 2000 with the expansion pack inserted. Do you know what I mean? In high res mode, that was about 8 frames a second, so I can deal with 30 frames quite easily.
On a black and white TV, wasn't it?
No, that was I had one of them handheld TVs, with a little LCD screen.
Yeah.
And I used to plug the N64 into that and play it on this little tiny screen. But yeah, I did have a black and white portable in my bedroom as well when I was a kid.
Should have had the Game Gear adapter, mate.
I know, yeah, that would have been.
That was where it was at.
That would have been keeping it real, wouldn't it? So yeah, not a great deal for me on the old console, certainly not the Dreamcast. But we're going to move into Dreamcast stuff now with the news, which is abundant. So let's just jump in. First of all, it's an anniversary. I'm sure most people are aware of this, but obviously Dreamcast turned 26 in the United States on 9th of the 9th. That's 9th of September for those who don't know. And 26 years old. In the coming weeks, it will turn 26 in Europe. That's on October the 14th, and 27 in November for the Japanese launch. Doesn't it just make you feel ancient? It really does.
Certainly does.
Yeah.
See, I'm seeing those ages and wishing I was that old. The Dreamcast hasn't got a sore back yet. It can go to a concert and stand for hours.
Yeah, and not come out with ringing ears either.
Yeah.
Shaking hand at fist at cloud. On a weird kind of semi-related, not really related at all, I recently learned that today, the 29th of September, is actually the 30th anniversary of the PlayStation release in the UK. So, 30 years old. Wow.
See, if you'd asked me how many years difference was there between the launch of the original PlayStation in the UK and the launch of the Dreamcast in the UK, I would have said a lot more than that. Just off the kind of feel for it felt like the PS1 was out for eons by the time the Dreamcast came along.
Yeah.
So that's in just 4 years.
Well, as we know, in this post-COVID era, time has no meaning. Shenmue has been in the news, not just in the news for us, like nerds and geeks and Dreamcast fans, but also in the mainstream normie news, as I like to call it, as I point and laugh at people in the street. Yeah, so Shenmue has topped the BAFTA's most influential video game of all time list, as voted for by the public, the games playing public, and it was even featured on ITV News. Lewis, you sent me a link to the news report, and it was quite humorous to see, the flagship news program in the UK talking about Shenmue and talking about the Dreamcast. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Eh?
They were like showing like younger people playing it as well. Yeah, just the whole thing with Shenmue winning, like topping this list, like all this discourse around it from anyone except Shenmue fans and Dreamcast fans was just so obnoxious. Like, don't get me wrong, the list was slightly flawed. There was a bit of sort of recency bias. I think, Jazz, I remember you were talking about this at the time when it came out, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 shouldn't be on the list. It's like that recency bias strikes again. People obviously really like that game. Everyone I've known who's played that game has said it's brilliant, but it doesn't belong on a most influential games list.
It's just such an exception to the rest of the list. I mean, I said it at the time, and I'll repeat it now. If this list wasn't numbered, because you're always going to end up with contention if you put numbers on things. But if you just said, tell me what the 21 most influential games ever are, you'd find it really difficult to argue that any of these other games shouldn't be on this list. As far as all these lists that you see all the time in these clickbaity articles that go around on the internet, this is by far the most accomplished list I've ever seen, that I've looked at it and gone, yep, I can see why that is. Yep, that's not for me, but I can see why that's on there. And there's some genuinely amazing games. And I think, after I looked at it for an hour or two, I can't remember what I said at the time, but I thought, maybe you could make a case to get rid of Kingdom Come and maybe get rid of Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah. And there were like maybe two other suggestions I had that could have gone on it, but it's a pretty damn good list of games that I think even even people like me who don't like a certain game, that like Shenmue, you can't argue at all with it being on a list like this.
Like, yeah, there's stuff there, towards the top, like Doom, Super Mario Brothers, Ocarina of Time, Half-Life, like like you say, the expected stuff. So, people voted for the most part for what is actually influential. There's a lot of contention about Minecraft. I'd say perhaps that is quite a influential game. I actually kind of agree with that one, but yeah, the bit that annoyed me was just the reaction from like anyone who doesn't like Shenmue. Their reaction to this was just like so annoying. So I'm going to read some headlines from the gaming media. So we've got IGN had reported on the fact that Shenmue had topped this list, and their headline was, BAFTA announces the most influential video game of all time, and it's a real head scratcher. And then PC Gamer was, the BAFTAs declare Shenmue and a game that came out 2 months ago more influential than Tetris and expect us to all just go along with that.
You just want to audibly say "fuck off."
Yeah, it's like so pretentious. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, Tetris is a cultural icon, but I would argue that open world games are the biggest genre in the past decades. So
that's the other thing about an influential list, isn't it? Is that can be interpreted in so many different ways. And that's why it's just so hard to put them, as I said, in some sort of actual order. But like, how can a game that came out this year be influential? Like, what's it had time to influence? Like, genuinely.
People's hearts, I suppose.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Just going back to the ITV News piece on this story. The thing that got me was there's a bit where they've got two teenage girls trying to play Shenmue on the screen, and they're both kind of like, you can tell it's old because you can just hear the Dreamcast going. and then they show the Dreamcast, and it's the most battered yellow Dreamcast you could have dragged out of a cupboard. Do you know what I mean? It's like, could you not just get a decent looking one? Do you know what I mean? It's got this knackered one with all scratches and stickers all over it. Like, what?
Mate, I'm surprised the ITV researcher didn't like stumble across you as like a source to find. We need to get a Dreamcast. Let's have a. Who's the man? Who's the Dreamcast man?
No, I'm surprised they didn't get anybody from like Shenmue Dojo to like do a sort of like a box pop or something. Just a little piece to camera. But
What's funny as well is that my dad, who kind of, he listens to the podcast and he kind of like knows about things like Shenmue and that I like that and stuff. And then my wife as well is the same. They know about this stuff that I enjoy. And I sent them that ITV clip. It's introduced as. This is the most influential video game of all time, and you've probably never heard of it. Even they felt a little bit like, why do they keep trying to bang home this idea that Shenmue's this like obscure game? I don't know, it just was a bit weird. For some reason, that game seems to just be like a punching bag for games media. I don't understand why, but yeah.
As you've been talking, I've just been searching through the chat history of when this first came up in the chat. We were talking about it. My first reply was, to be fair, other than Deliverance 2, that's a phenomenal list. And then all these chats go on for ages and ages and ages. And then literally I come back to, man, the more I read it, Deliverance 2 is so out of place. And I just keep doubling down and tripling down on that.
Poor Deliverance 2.
I know.
And it is a great game.
I mean, I've played Deliverance 1. I played it for about 25 minutes, and I'm not even lying. I fell through the floor. And I just I turned it off and I'm like, no, I'm not playing that. I can't be bothered. I spent 20 minutes doing that. I'm not,
I would. What my final point on this though is, I would say, if you're just starting gaming out, if it's a brand new hobby to you, you've never been exposed to any of it before, this is a bloody good list to start your start playing through. It'll take you about 5 years to get through everything.
Speaking of mainstream appearances by the Dreamcast on our TV screens, the Dreamcast also got a very brief cameo in the latest series of Black Mirror. The episode is Plaything, and there is a shot where there's a collection of consoles in the background, and you do see a Dreamcast. I should also add, in this episode, you also see an Atari Jaguar.
Yeah, poster, yeah.
Oh, it's a poster, yeah, not an actual console, yeah. So, yeah, that's my Jaguar reference in for this episode. Sorted. Moving on then to some slightly bizarre news. I knew nothing of this until I was enlightened by Lewis. A Dreamcast microphone that was used by a popular streamer sold for £20,000 in a charity auction, which was held in benefit of the Monterey Bay Aquarium. It actually went down to 5,000, I think, afterwards, because there was an error with the actual bid.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear anything about this. What's the story here, Lewis? Do you know any more?
It's just like a dude I know who presumably knows who this streamer is and knows I like Dreamcast sent me this, and he was like, "Oh, you see this sold for 20k?" And I was like, "What? A Dreamcast microphone? I mean, how much would one of them cost?"
Pence.
How much is a sealed copy of Planet Ring?
Yeah.
But this streamer must be really popular.
Germa.
Yeah, Germa. There's probably some like people like, how do they not know who this is?
Yeah.
But he did a stream of Seaman that was presumably one of his like more popular streams, and he put this microphone up for auction. And yeah, didn't end up being for 20k due to some kind of error. But the fact that someone's still willing to pay $5,000 for it is still crazy for a microphone, a Dreamcast microphone. Although it does go to a good cause. I've been to Monterey Bay Aquarium; it is very lovely. So yeah, I went on my honeymoon.
Very nice. People will probably be screaming at their iPods or whatever other devices that they use to listen to this. Nobody listens to it. I'm the only one using an iPod to listen to this. We don't know who Germa is because we've got a collective age of probably over 110. So. Right, let's move on to our next topic, and that is the ever popular topic of homebrew. Now, lots of ports have come to the Dreamcast and are coming to the Dreamcast imminently. I suppose the biggest one that came this year was Vice City. GTA Vice City was ported to the Dreamcast. We have put articles up about this. You've probably seen it blasted all over the internet on various different forums and websites. But yeah, we should note that Vice City ported after GTA 3 was ported.
On April Fool's Day, which was really amazing for us trying to post stuff about it and constantly getting replies like, haha, April Fools. It's like, no, it's real, promise. But yeah, that's by a gentleman called SKMP or Scump. I don't know how you say his online alias, but I've played this port. It is very good. I mean, Vice City, I think, was my favourite out of the PS2 trilogy, I suppose. And yeah, it plays really well. I think there was a little bit more they had to do with it, but if anyone's wondering why this came out so fast after GTA 3 was ported, it was because most of the work that they needed to do was already done with GTA 3, and then it was the case of just kind of messing around with a few bits to get Vice City running. I think it's a maybe slightly more intense game as far as running it on the Dreamcast. So yeah, like bigger animations and stuff like that, and so that was like the extra work they had to do. But yeah, seeing as it all runs in the same engine, it was quite a relatively quick job for them to do.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. And speaking of Skimp, Skimp is also working on a port for the Dreamcast of a game called The Liquid Jet, which I had previously never heard of, but have since looked into, and it looks like a super psychedelic trip into a world of weirdness, I guess. I don't even know how you describe it. I mean, it's on Steam.
It's on Steam. That's how you describe it, I think. It's on Steam.
The Steam description says, a slimy psychedelic adventure about a girl attending a warehouse rave party with her friends, where she'll go to experience a long, profound, bad, trip. So that tells you pretty much everything you need to know. The fact that it was only released this year, though, in May, and it's already being worked on as a Dreamcast port, is very interesting.
Yeah.
So
I believe Scump, or I hope that's actually how you say his name. I think that's how he should say his name from now on, Scump. But he knows this developer, so that's why it's quite easy for him to get it ported to the Dreamcast. It means that there's no kind of like dubious legality stuff going on there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the developer is called Sad Mask Party.
Yeah,
which is quite fitting, to be honest, looking at the footage of this game running. Okay, let's move on to some other ports. So JN Martin 84 is a legend, as we all know. We've discussed at length the amazing port of Doom 64 to the Dreamcast, but JN has been working on some other things, and he's just been blowing us away with hit after hit. First of all, Wipeout, the PlayStation title, was ported to the Dreamcast with some huge improvements in the realm of frame rate and resolution.
And a Sonic banner.
Indeed, yeah. Mario Kart 64 has been ported again with some really cool improvements. And Star Fox 64 is also being ported as well. And again, looks absolutely flawless. I mean, what more is to say about these games? Really interesting selection of games that JN is looking at bringing to the Dreamcast, but I'm not complaining. I think they all look superb, to be honest.
Yeah, and the speed and quality as well. The fact that he gets through them so quick and they're also like really high quality must be commended. It's mind blowing, to be honest. Like, I don't even know how these people do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I finally got around to playing Mario Kart on the Dreamcast as well, which is, I think I've commented on Twitter or X on the actual blog posts and in other places as well, that this is my favourite ever game, which I can now play on my favourite ever console. And it's just, I don't know, there's just something cool about it. And I have to say, it works. The Dreamcast controller feels really, really good with this game. It just feels like it should, like, it doesn't feel unnatural, which is quite a strange thing given how different the 64 controller is to the Dreamcast one. But yeah, it is awesome to see these on there. And as I said, Mario Kart 64 especially for me is just hits that sweet spot.
Especially as the Dreamcast is like a great 4-player system as well, and that was a great 4-player game on Nintendo 64, like one of my favourites.
And Star Fox will be great as well. I'll definitely check that out.
Have you played the multiplayer mode, Jazz?
I haven't. No, I don't have any friends who are interested in Dreamcast. So I do own about a dozen controllers, but nobody wants to play it with me, unfortunately.
Oh, how sad! How sad.
Yeah.
There is another port. It's Mute Crimson DC, which is a free port of Mute Crimson DX. Lewis, I believe you've played this one.
Yeah, it's I didn't know about this until it got ported to the Dreamcast on 9/9 for the American anniversary, and this indie studio Iced Lizard Games, they make a lot of 2D platformer kind of games. It's and Mute Crimson DC, one of their games where you basically play as a ninja, go around slicing up things and jumping and wall climbing, and yeah, it's great. It's just the port is flawless, and the game itself is really high quality. I mean, it's a game that you can buy right now on the Switch and Xbox, and here it is on the Dreamcast, and you can play now for free. And honestly, I think if it got shipped on a disc, we'd probably be talking about it as far as like one of the best indies the console has seen, because it is just that good. But you know, that's the only thing I worry about, because it's just kind of a freeware thing. Will people overlook it, as opposed to, like, you know, when they're collecting games and stuff with other indie titles? But yeah, I definitely recommend people go check it out. It's really fantastic.
I'm getting vibes of something like Super Meat Boy.
Yeah, definitely.
Mixed with what was that one called with Cuphead in it? Is it called Cuphead?
Yeah, Cuphead. Do you remember Endgame? That was another one that it reminds me of. It was like a Flash game, but it got ports on like the Xbox and stuff.
No, I don't remember that. No.
If you look it up, you'll know what I mean. It's that kind of got that grey, that monochrome look to it. But yeah.
Speaking of Cuphead, did anything ever happen with that demo? Do you remember that a few years ago? That Dreamcast demo of Cuphead.
Unfortunately, I think it was just more of a proof of concept. I don't think it was very early days. You know, it was mainly just a character moving around. I think they've gone on to, they did stuff in the Dream Disc Jam and stuff, so they've not stopped developing. It's just they haven't done more of that particular project.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's move from homebrew to indie then. First off, our good friends Retro Summers have been developing a game for the sort of 16-bit consoles with a view to bring it over to the Dreamcast and other more powerful systems in the future. That game is Soviet Borgs. Sadly, it didn't meet its target on Indiegogo, and so it looks like the game may be kind of being put on hiatus. I'm not sure what's going on next. Do you know any more about this, Lewis?
They haven't let too much information out about like what their next plans are. I know they're not like completely, you know, they're canning it or anything. I think they're obviously just going to probably go back to the drawing board and see what else can be done. They're not doing anything for the time being, is all I know. But yeah, I mean, this is what happened with Xenocide, wasn't it? They didn't reach its goal. Shadow Gangs as well. I mean, they raised 30,000.
I think it was 30,000.
Yeah, they raised a lot of money for this, and so there is interest. It's just unfortunately on Indiegogo, they didn't reach their full amount. And I actually thought Indiegogo had the whole thing where even if you don't reach the full target, you still keep it. But for some reason, they had it set to this. So, yeah, unfortunately, they raised all that money and then it just didn't didn't go to anything. So, yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame because I previewed the game for the blog, and I liked what I saw. You know, I know there's been a lot of comparisons made with things like Smash TV and like Crackdown, the original one on the Mega Drive. It's kind of top-down squad-based shooter where you play as these sort of cyborgs just going around the map killing things. There's not much more to it than that. There's quite a nice variation in the different types of level. Like there's a sort of side-scrolling shmup stage and some other things that haven't really been announced yet. But yeah, it's a shame. And the real kicker here is that the Dreamcast version was going to have completely reworked visuals as well. It wouldn't just be a straight port of the Mega Drive version. So, you know, who knows what could happen. It could get picked up by by publisher and put out, we don't know yet. But we wish Retro Summers all the best with Soviet Borgs.
Yeah, one thing I noted actually that I thought was really interesting, but it wasn't that well advertised, was in a comment on that campaign, someone basically said, because obviously the original Soviet Borgs at its base is supposed to be a Mega Drive / Genesis game, but then someone said, well, is this how it's going to look on Dreamcast? And then Retro Summers replied and basically explained that I've got a quote here. We're creating the base game version first, then using the same game logic for all other console versions, while adapting it to the hardware specifics and, of course, using the extra power they provide. And then they provided like this little image, and it has some kind of interesting sort of mock-ups of potentially better graphics for the Dreamcast. So I really am intrigued as to how they're going to beef this up for the Dreamcast. It would look really good if it was a little bit more higher resolution and shinier, I suppose. So fingers crossed that's one thing we will see someday.
Yeah, of course. From some slightly negative news to some more slightly negative news, Wave Game Studios have cancelled Driving Strikers, the PAL edition, and have announced that they have halted all business. The website did go down, didn't it, at one point, but it's back, but you just can't buy anything on the website. So
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, have they put out a press release or anything like that about what's going on?
Not really. I did speak to them though, and they're no longer trading, which is a shame because at one point they were this like very exciting force to be reckoned with, and everyone loved their stuff. So great catalogue that they've published and were selling up until this news. Things like Intrepid Izzy, Yeah Beebis 2, Flea, Rush Rush Rally Reloaded, Xenocider, Alice Dreams Tournament, Postal, and Driving Strikers, and also the demos that they put out with. Was it Tunnels was on one of them, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
It's a real shame. I think just to echo what you said, Tom. I mean, it wasn't just the games that they had on their portfolio, but it was the quality that they put into producing everything as well.
Definitely.
Again, I've said this multiple times on the pod before, but they brought uniformity to the indie scene, which I think was massively appealing to people in a product that looked and felt like it could have been contemporary.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were a great bunch of guys. When they were at their peak, they were putting out some real quality stuff. So it is a real shame to say goodbye. But
even the sort of what you might consider to be like a sort of not a budget game, but a game that is not really sort of pushing the Dreamcast. I've got here in my hand, Yeah Beebis 2. I mean, the quality of the manual and the box and the disc is just great. It's a part of a NES game essentially, but they've put so much effort into it, and it's just such a shame to see a publisher of this quality kind of go away, really. So.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I do have a little bit of insight into what was going on there, and it's mainly just business, unfortunately, as much as we kind of live in our rose-tinted Dreamcast bubble. These guys, at the end of the day, were running a business, and in order to stay in business, you've got to shift products. And I think they said to me that the best-selling game they had was Intrepid Izzy, and that was their first game. So unfortunately, after that, they didn't quite reach the highs of Intrepid Izzy, and even stuff like Postal. They had to license that from Running with Scissors, and from what I understand, I don't even know if they made the money back for the amount of money it cost to license it. I remember speaking to them, and there was this really interesting 3D game that they were planning on releasing, and I said, "Well, what happened to that?" And they said it was just too much to license. So it just doesn't seem like maybe the Dreamcast indie scene is as. It's definitely not as. I know it's a niche thing, but it's almost like it's almost more niche than it ever was. It's like it's not as popular. I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we've discussed this kind of thing in the past, haven't we? Where because we're kind of in it, we see it as this kind of huge thing, but really it's actually quite small, and this whole situation with Wave kind of illustrates that, I guess. Okay, so let's move on from some slightly sad news to some better news. The better news is that Pixel Heart are reissuing Shadow Gangs, which was previously published by Wave. and you can get that on their website now. Shadow Gangs, if you can get past the first level, I will come to your house and shake you by the hand because it is nails. Gladmort has also arrived with backers. Gladmort, is this one you've played, either of you two?
I've received it. Yeah, I got the PAL version, and for some reason it came with a T-shirt that happened to be in my size, and I don't remember that being a thing. I don't think I backed a perk that came with a free T-shirt, but thanks for the free T-shirt. It was very nice.
Interesting.
And yeah, it's again hard as nails. So yeah, Pixel Heart with the really difficult games here, but it's very kind of in the vein of what's it called, Ghosts and Goblins, And what's interesting is it was developed as a Neo Geo game, but something that's kind of different that I guess they're moving away from is previously when they did Neo Geo ports, they were emulated, whereas this is actually running natively on the Dreamcast. And yeah, it's a very high quality release, great sprite work and stuff.
Brilliant.
Pixel Heart were the ones that had all the new old stock of Dreamcast games and accessories, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sticking with Pixel Heart for the moment, they're also releasing a new game called Verdict Guilty Clash. This looks actually quite interesting. Well, they all look interesting to me, but this looks really cool.
It's basically a port of a existing game that's on Steam and console. What I found most interesting actually is that apparently it was announced in like 2019 and there was going to be a Saturn version. I want to see the Saturn version. That sounds really interesting. But yeah, it's a one-on-one fighter, possibly a oversaturated genre on the Dreamcast. You know, and I'm not sure there's going to be that many indie titles that can come toe-to-toe with, say, like Marvel versus Capcom or whatever, but it's still worth a try, I suppose.
It's definitely got some Neo Geo inspiration, hasn't it?
Yeah, again, another natively running port, though, so it's good that... I know that was a thing that people criticised about Pixel Heart's releases, so it's good that they're properly, you know, putting in the effort to make them as polished as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. It's going to come out with PAL US and Japanese box art. I believe Josh Prod are behind this and Pixel Heart are publishing it. So yeah, it's all looking good from Pixel Heart.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Moving on then to Choo Choo Mimic, which is releasing soon from Orcface Games. Pre-orders went up around April, but issues at the disc pressing plant caused delays. It should be dispatched very soon. So yeah, there is a video explaining the situation, showing off the final versions on YouTube. We will link that in the show notes. But yeah, Choo Choo Mimic, any thoughts on that one?
I've played this game actually on the Evercade and it's really fun. It is basically like Choo Choo Rocket, the single player mode, but it is an NES game, so this is an NES port, but it is another one from Alistair Lowe, who did Flea, which is another fantastic game. So yeah, I definitely recommend people check this out when it finally releases. And I just want to commend Ross Kilgariff of Orcface Games on just his attention to quality. He basically went back and forth with disc pressing places to get this perfect. You know, Jazz was speaking about Waves quality, and I really appreciate that we've got, you know, potentially Orcface Games taking their spot, but they still have that same attention to quality.
Definitely. I bought a copy of the Storied Sword off them. I had no interest in playing the game, but just to literally check out the quality and support them, and yeah, it's a similar sort of thing with that. It's you can tell the quality, the people that care about it.
Is Ross Kilgariff the guy who's making Harley Quest?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, is there any update on that? Is that still sort of moving along nicely, or...?
Yeah, he's still putting out updates for it. He put out an update in May, so he is keeping people in the loop. But that's one that's just gonna, when it comes out, it's gonna be fantastic for sure.
It'll be done when it's done, kind of thing. Yeah.
That was basically what he said. Yeah, in one of the updates.
But at least he's updating us. that's the
true.
good part.
so that's a quick look at what's going on in the world of indie games. Let's move on then to translations. I'm going to let you talk about this, Lewis, because this seems to be your
My thing.
your area of expertise. Yeah.
Yeah, only one that I have to report on this month, I guess. Eldorado Gate. So this is one that has always been quite intriguing because it is a Capcom RPG that only released in Japan, and it released in, I think it was 6 volumes. But yeah, someone called Big Banana 23.
Love it.
They've basically started work on this and they've gotten quite far with the actual initial cracking of the game that they need to do before they can actually start translating stuff. Now they just need to, I guess, either assemble a team or maybe they'll translate it themselves. We don't know, but everyone was pretty chuffed to see that this is in the works. I have seen like projects trying to translate this previously that kind of appeared, and I don't know if they were just saying that it was in the pipeline to be done, but this guy's actually gotten in there and started work on at least hacking it to the point where it can be translated. So yeah, it's exciting. But the only thing to say is after this he's going to have to translate all the others, surely, so we can finish the story.
I mean, Eldorado Gate is one of them games that I'm aware of because I always used to see various chapters in like the buckets at like gaming expos, and they were always like about $5 or something because you couldn't really play it, could you?
It's absolutely beautiful artwork in this game. It's such a nice game to look at. Definitely one I will check out when the translation is available because it's just so easy on the eye.
Is it just the one translation story then this time, Lewis? I'm sure are you not busy with any of the other things with Derek Pascarella and the other guys?
Yeah, I'm still working on a translation of the Love Hina game, which is plodding along at a pace, sort of slow, unfortunately, but it's been fun.
What do you? I mean, just for my own interest. I mean, what does it actually involve? What do you actually do? If you don't mind talking about that.
I do editing, so the translators will translate, and then I go in and I take a look at what's there. And a lot of the time with Japanese, like a pretty, even if it's a literal translation, it may not sound as
like natural English kind of
yeah,
thing.
well, it might not sound that natural in English, so yeah, I go in and I try and preserve the original as much as I can, but there is the odd occasion where you do have to localize, as it's called. Especially stuff with like jokes. Like there's one joke in Love Hina actually that's really bugging me where I just cannot find an appropriate like thing to change it to. Like it's a joke that's like really obscure and it's to do with like the way a Japanese word sounds like another Japanese word, and I cannot figure out like a decent gag to replace it with or adapt it to. So yeah, that's for me to worry about, though.
That does sound quite involved. Replacement obscure jokes to like actually kind of like keep the tone or the style of what was originally written. It's like, what the hell do I do here?
Yeah.
No. Well, fair play. Good work. All right. Let's move on then to our next topic, and that is the online gaming world. Dreamcast, obviously, as everybody knows, you can play with everybody else in the world. No, you can't.
Up to 6 billion players.
Yeah. What is the population of the world now? It must be like more than that.
Don't say anything wrong, or Anne Robinson will come find you.
That's what
Currently, as of today, it is 8.142 billion.
Wow.
So yeah, that just shows how the advertising, or the ill-fated advertising campaign has aged like milk. Jazz, do you want to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the world of online gaming, the games that have come back online?
Yeah, so unfortunately I've not had a chance to check these out myself yet because, as I said, I've not really been doing much gaming over the last 6 months. But Speed Devils is the first of 3 new games, or games that are now online again, and I am really looking forward to trying this one. I know you're a Speed Devils fan as well, Tom, or I believe you are.
Yes, Yes, I love it.
The online game, it was quite funny actually, because I remember when I first got my Dreamcast back online, I went into a local like retro gaming shop here in Cardiff and picked up a copy of Speed Devils Online. And the guy behind the till was like, "Oh, this is only the online version." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." And I had a long conversation with him about getting Dreamcast back online. But yeah, the online version doesn't have half the features that the actual Speed Devils game does. No. So yeah, I was looking forward to playing this one finally online. So I'll definitely be firing up the DreamPod at some point. No doubt updating it to be able to play that online. I'm sure it is great. The second one is the Aero Dancing series. So these are for those who've not played these before. These are. I think they're known as Aero Wings or Air Wings in this country or in the PAL territories. So these were what's the other really famous dogfighting, Ace Combat and things like that. It's very similar to that. So as I said, I've not checked out the online of these, but I'm assuming it's just going to be online dogfights that you can go in and fight against other players. And it was only the Japanese version has the internet capabilities. So I assume there is a patched, translated version potentially as well, which is what normally happens with these when the team over at Dreamcast Live put them up for the ISOs up for download. And the final one, which is possibly one of the biggest ones to come back online, and again, I know this is one of the most asked for games. There can't be many now that are not back online, but this was definitely one that a lot of people requested, which is Outrigger, which is, if you've not played it, it is an awesome game anyway.
Yeah.
Came out pretty late on in the certainly over in Western part of the world. Came out pretty late, I think, in the Dreamcast lifespan, and yeah, I think it started off as an arcade game, didn't it? Outrigger.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Basically, first or third person shooting game. So obviously, Quake is still one of the biggest, most played games on Dreamcast online now. So I'm sure this one will be as well. And yeah, it's a game that I suspect again a lot of people didn't experience online, certainly on a Dreamcast back in the day, because it did come out so late in the console's life cycle. In fact, the Dreamcast may have already been discontinued by the time this game came out.
I think the main reason for a lot of people, certainly in Europe, not playing it online is because the PAL version had all the online stuff stripped out.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, so, correct.
Yeah, bizarre.
So you would need the Japanese or American version to play this if you want to play it online.
Yeah, looking forward to trying all three of these out. For sure, because obviously three very different games as well.
Yeah. It's a great community as well, isn't it? On the old DreamPod.
It is. I used to be on. There's normally there's a scheduled kind of certain games on certain nights tend to happen every single week. But obviously with the introduction a good few years ago now, when Luke created Dreamcast. .online. If you remember the old Xbox 360 gamer cards, you go on the Xbox.com and see it. So if you go on there, you can see what people are online and what they're playing at the moment. So you could jump on and I just looked at it now, and there's 4 people playing, 2 people are playing golf, 1 person playing 4x4 Evolution, 1 person on Phantasy Star Online.
That's crazy, isn't it? So cool.
It only shows people who are connected via DreamPod. So if people are on broadband, it doesn't show up. But still, you are right. The community is really thriving, and a lot of them kind of schedule games on the Discord or on the Dreamcast Talk forums. And as I said, DreamcastLive.net is probably the place you want to go if you are thinking about getting your Dreamcast online, because you've got everything on there. You've got all the downloads that you need. You've got instructions on how to build or buy a DreamPod. It gives you a list of all the games which are now online, and as I said, I'm looking at it now, and it's phenomenal. I can't even count them. It says at the top. So there's 46 Dreamcast games back online, which is pretty remarkable.
I think all the PAL games are back online technically.
Yeah, there wasn't many from the PAL regions. Although we did have, interestingly, there were a few PAL exclusives that had online.
That's right.
Functionality, like Monaco Grand Prix was a PAL exclusive, Toy Racer was a PAL exclusive. So yeah, that's quite an interesting one. I think there may be one more as well.
Planet Ring.
Planet Ring, yeah. I need to get back into it, to be honest, because I used to find myself on there, most nights, playing something with somebody. And there are some really great games. You can have a lot of good fun in games like Star Lancer online, or even things like Planet Ring. A lot of people used to say to me, "Why are you playing these old games online?" And it's just like saying, "Well, why do you play any old games?" It's because you kind of want that nostalgia. You love the games from when they came out. I've said this before. My online gaming journey started on the Dreamcast. But I know a lot of people that play online Dreamcast now who never played online back in the day. So there's a real good mix of people. But yeah, there seems to be a good amount of games still coming out. I know there's still a lot of Japanese games which are not online yet. But I mean they constantly surprise us with these releases. So I'm sure we will see them at some point.
Yeah, big shout out to, is it Shuoma, who is one of the main guys behind all that stuff?
Yeah, Shu does a lot. Yeah, and PC Wizard is definitely the vocal sort of point to publicise a lot of these games, either on YouTube or, as I said, on Dreamcast Live is where you find out about all these things. So yeah, check them all out if it's something you're interested in doing.
Awesome, good stuff. Thanks for the roundup, Jazz. Moving on then, it's not all just about the games. We've also got some new hardware coming our way. First two things are of the VMU variety. The VMU Pro is available for pre-order now, and that comes from 8-Bit Mods. 8-Bit Mods are very well respected in the peripheral world. They do all sorts of bits and pieces for different platforms across the retro landscape. And this new VMU, the VMU Pro, looks pretty cool. I mean, I know we had the VM2 recently from Chris Darglew, which is an awesome bit of kit. And these new VMUs are kind of building on that, really, aren't they? So we've got the VMU Pro from 8-Bit Mods. It's like a sort of a updated colour screen, modern VMU with, you can play games on it and that kind of thing. It's got Wi-Fi built in, high-res screen, all the rest of it. We've also got the Dream Color Plus.
So Dream Color Plus is not technically a VMU, but it's kind of a VMU, but it wants your controller to be like an all-in-one unit. So you can't remove it once it's put in there, but it is kind of a plug-and-play affair. You swap the PCB from a controller for the Dream Color Plus, and then it displays VMU graphics in color.
Got you, right. So it's almost like a PCB then that you just plug into the controller.
Yeah. And it also makes the controller wireless with inbuilt storage as well.
It's a built-in air fryer as well.
Wow, that's pretty damn cool. So yeah, if you want to either get a new VMU that can also play games in color, then VMU Pro is the way to go. If you want to turn your Dreamcast controller into a wireless controller that also has a colour screen, then Dream Color Plus is what you need to be looking for. The guy behind Dream Color Plus, Luis, is it? Luis Nye. He's based in Brazil. He's quite prolific in the sort of homebrew scene as well, isn't he? He does. He's making his own games. Is Metal Canary one of his?
Metal Canary, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So obviously he's got a lot of skill in this field, and it's really cool just to see him kind of branching out into other fields really when it comes to the Dreamcast. Talking of VM2, there are some new little bits and pieces available for that if you've got one. If you go to the DreamMods website, DreamMods obviously are the people who make the VM2, which is the recently released VMU for the new era, if you want to call it that. It's got a high-res screen, it's got a built-in rechargeable battery, you can put SD cards in it and all that kind of thing. It's got a backlight. There's a number of accessories now that are available on the DreamMods website. You can get a new case for it. You can get a new battery if you want, new buttons. You can also get a new faceplate for your Dreamcast controller, which actually the aperture is modded slightly so that it has the right width for the VM2 screen.
Yeah.
It's got a slightly different aspect ratio, hasn't it, on the VM2? So yeah, we put all the links to all this stuff in the show notes. The Octopus Fight Stick is a new fight stick.
Yeah.
What else is there to say? But it can be connected to 20 different consoles. It's got a space in it for a VMU. I believe one of our regular co-hosts, Mike Rogers, has got one of these. Is that right, Lewis?
Yeah, he's been telling me a bit about this. He did back the Indiegogo, and it's a fight stick that's made for people who really love fighting games. It's got like proper buttons basically there's these kind of buttons that fighting game nerds really love, and this is built with that in mind. And yeah, it's like a really hefty bit of kit, but it has a VMU built in that has different pages of inbuilt memory, and yeah, it's quite a costly piece of kit. It's like a $450, I think.
Yeah.
Mike spent on it, but he has been very positive about it. I found a quote here actually. He says, if you're a gamer with many platforms that the Octopus supports, if you play arcade games, he thinks even at that price it's a no-brainer just because of the amount of compatibility it has and the fact it is such a high-quality piece of hardware. And just to mention as well, I mean, I'm not saying this is the service you're going to get for everyone, but his actually came with a slight issue that I think was just caused by shipping. A part came loose inside, I believe, and the guy who makes these WhatsApped him and got it fixed with him. So that's customer service.
Oh yeah, that's brilliant.
But yeah, he's been very positive, and it's quite a high entry cost. But if it's one of those things that if you're into arcade games and fighting games, and it's something you take very seriously, maybe it is worth the investment. That's for you to decide.
I think most arcade sticks are pretty expensive, the good ones, right? I mean, there's as you say, there's a certain type of button and stuff they use. I guess it's a bit like some of the the mechanical keyboards you can buy that get really expensive because of the mechanisms behind it, and I guess it's somewhat similar to that in that there's a certain quality that these guys look for, which evidently it has. But yeah, price wise, it doesn't seem that incomparable with a lot of other highly regarded sticks, and especially if you can play this on anything from a PS5 to an Atari Jaguar. It's got to be worth it. Disclaimer: I don't know if it's compatible with Atari Jaguar before you go out and buy one just to play Kazumi Ninja.
Well, I was going to say maybe Ultra Vortec or Double Dragon 5, but Kazuma Ninja would be probably improved no end with this controller.
The creators TR Fight Stick are well known for, they basically have all these bits that they've been producing for years, like quality precision parts for fight sticks, if you want to mod one that you already have. So the fact that they've made this one like a proper one like for themselves is definitely going to be high quality.
I mean, the name is TR Fight Stick, so I would hope that their fight sticks are pretty good.
I would too, yes.
Fantastic. Well, that brings us neatly to the end of our running order. So, I suppose all there is left to do now is mention our lovely Patreon people. But before we do that, I'm just going to plug something, and that is, are you guys familiar with Sega Lord X?
Absolutely,
He's a YouTuber, makes some really great Sega-focused content.
Yeah.
He has launched a crowd sort of funding thing on GoFundMe. in aid of his sister, who is suffering from cancer. And he originally, I believe, was looking to sell off his collection to raise some much needed funds to help with the costs of her medical care. But he launched a GoFundMe. We will put links in the show notes. At the time of writing, I believe the GoFundMe is still up in aid of Sega Lord X's sister. I think he's already smashed his goal. I think it was something like $6,000, and it's now at 7,000 something, which is great. Yeah. Awesome. But if you can donate, please do. And it's just a really nice thing for the Sega community to do, to come together to help Sega Lord X. So okay. On to our own Patreon shout-outs now, I think. How do we want to do this? Should we read them one each as we go down the list? Okay, right, I'm going to go. So thank you to David SM.
Which one of us goes next?
You!
Right. Thank you to Douglas Wright.
TY guy or Ty guy, depending on how you say it.
Fantastic. Thank you to Chris Walter.
Thanks to Gary Meacher.
Anthony Harrop.
Your mum.
I think there's someone who keeps changing their name just to make us say stupid stuff. So shout out to that person. You truly caught us. Oh shit, it's me. Yeah, Lee Sparks. Thank you very much.
Alex Hayden.
Thomas Vergler.
Wombat. Thank you very much.
Massimiliano.
His name has come up already once in this podcast. It's Ross Kilgariff. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to Willis Alvey.
And Ann N. Sanders.
Thank you to James B.
Thank you to Aid Carter.
And Mr. A-Team himself, Derek Pascarella.
And Mr. Pizza Hotline.
Oh, I can't read the next one out.
Yeah, you can. Go on.
Okay, thank you to me for being a Patreon.
Oh, and thanks to Tom.
Oh, thank you. Thanks to Loz Lawrence Goodchild. And that's it. So, yeah, thank you, everybody. Hopefully that wasn't too painful to sit through, as we minced that quite badly. But, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the DreamPod. We are available for abuse on social media. You can find us on... Are we still doing X, Twitter? Is that still the thing? Yeah, at the DC Junkyard. We're also on Blue Sky, I believe. Yeah. Just the Dreamcast Junkyard. Where can you two fine gentlemen be found on social media?
Twitter, Blue Sky, at LewisJFC. I'd also recommend people check out a episode of the Sega Lounge that me and Brian were on recently. There's 2 episodes split up. Basically, we made a starter pack for the Dreamcast, and so we've got all our recommendations there, so that's worth a listen.
Nice.
And what about you, Jazz? Where can people find you?
You can find me on X at Agile Harvey.
Excellent. Well, all that remains for me to say now is thank you very much for listening, and we will see you on the next episode of the DreamPod. Until then, goodbye.
This is the Dreamcast disc. 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 And is for use only on a Dreamcast unit. Playing this disc on a hi-fi or other audio equipment can cause serious damage to its speakers. Please stop this disc now.